Well, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us at the Monique Woolley Foundation. Today, we have the opportunity to hear a real-life story. And at this time, I'd just like to turn the mic to China. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to share your stories of importance. So please do tell us.
Well, obviously, I'm China. You've been knowing me for some time now. I like to go by China Abdullah. So getting started with my story, talking about my story, what I've been through, what I've experienced, and obviously we're here to talk about depression. Depression is real. It's very real. I try to help people who are depressed, and it's not that I try to help them like come out of their depression. I'm able to relate with them. You know, if I see certain things, I hear certain things, if I see somebody doing something different, their mood, everything, I'm able to help them. But how I was able to figure this out was how it started with myself. I'd stay childhood. I'll just go really quick with that. Childhood, a lot of things. It really does arise from your childhood. Started with a lot of moving around, things that I seen. My parents, I could say, my mom was a drug addict, amongst other things, but she still kept us together. My brothers and sisters were drug addicts. But I wasn't, somebody had to be strong. I used to cry at night thinking to myself, how did I get put in this family? Like, I think God made a mistake. They always say God don't make mistakes. Well, I was like, God definitely made a mistake why I was put in this household. Like everybody's doing drugs, everybody's doing something. I have seen everything from somebody being shot, somebody being killed, to watching my brother overdose, and all this, and as a child. But I would still get up, I would still go to school, I would still go to work, I would still do everything that I was supposed to do as a kid, make sure that I got through school. I never stopped doing those things, because I was so more interacted into the sport. I wanted to play softball, wanted to do everything. But then you go home and you have this childhood at home where everything's just like, oh my God. There was times where I had to share rooms with my nieces. I would put them in the room. I would slide my dresser up against my wall or against the door, because there were so many drug addicts or drug dealers coming into my house that I was like, I'm not going to get molested, and I'm not going to allow my nieces or anybody to get molested or get raped. And this is starting at age 10. But I've seen worse than that. So let's just fast forward. I just really never really paid attention. I just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going, kept myself busy, got a part of the police department, just being around people that were more positive. I was the only one who was going to church. I would go to different churches and find out, I always wanted to find out things, like there's something, I'm missing something. I want to say the suicide thoughts started, but I'm going to backtrack. At around age 25 is when I started making 6 digits. Became very successful very quick. Everything was very rapid. But it got to the point where I started hitting myself because I would get frustrated. So I was hitting myself with like a little plastic rope, some rubber. I don't know what it was. But I would hit myself, and I started making these pains where I was like, okay, it was almost like felt good. And then I'm like, okay, I could go back out. I could go back out there and do it. So it just started from that about age 25. And I noticed I started doing that a lot more. I would go into a closet and literally hit myself. Around age 30 is when I did my first suicide attempt. And obviously it didn't work. I was in the garage with the car on, and I just lay there and went to sleep and let the fumes. Well, then my girlfriend came home to the house and pulled me out, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm tired. I just woke up and just went to work and came home and said, I don't want to do this anymore. She said, did you think about anybody else other than yourself? And I'm thinking to myself, no, at this point I'm thinking about myself. Like when you're thinking, when the suicide thought comes to your head, it's not calling somebody, I'm gonna kill myself. It was, it's time. Something came in my head. It was like, just go home, take care of it. Never called anybody, talked to people on the phone, smiled, laughed, but nobody knew that was going in my head. I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody. I'm just gonna go do it. Because a person who's gonna attempt suicide, you're not gonna know. People who tell you they're gonna commit suicide, pay attention, but 95% of the time, that's just them. I just wanna kill myself. Oh my God, I can't live, you know. Me, I just wouldn't say anything to anybody. So we'll fast forward on that one. Got to the point I ended up getting remarried. Marriage was rough. I married this man twice. He really broke me down. And I can't blame my depression on him, but he's part of the depression too. I was constantly fighting for him, like, why can't you love me? Why can't you do this? And then I just remember he told me one of his words, and maybe he doesn't even remember, maybe if he watches this and he'll understand. I said, why don't you love me? He said, give me a reason to love you. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in a position because I helped you get there. Not saying I got you there, I helped you get to the position you're in. So I have your daughter, I have a baby, I do everything as a wife is supposed to do. I go out and I work, come home, clean, cook, repeat. So I said, okay. Caught him cheating on me again. I remarried him, then I caught him cheating on me again. He said he was done. Of course, as women, we forgave him. Still going through the depression. I'm talking to him, I'm crying. I'm like, I need you to hear me. I need you to listen to me. Something about me is not right now. I started, hitting myself again. This time I started more with the knives. I started cutting my legs. I started, low key, like hitting here, wearing long sleeve shirts. And then June 15th, I called him. He answered his cell phone. And when he answered his cell phone, he didn't realize he answered the FaceTime, and that's when the woman was laying in the bed of his truck. And when I say the bed of his truck, because he's a truck driver, same woman that he's been cheating on me with for the whole duration of our marriage. That broke me down. And I cried, and I said I was gonna cry, but I'm not. So that really emotionally broke me down, because I told my kids, like, God, like, why can't he love me? The way that I love him. And I had just I had just lost my brother in 2018, the same month that I found out he was cheating again. And then when I seen it, I asked my kids, like, why can't he love me the way that I love him? And my kids were like, it's gonna be okay. And I was like, okay. I gave my kids all a kiss, told them have a great day. I will talk to them later. They all got together. They went with my ex-husband, Greg, which him and I are best friends. They went with him. And I went upstairs in my room and I wrote them a letter, which I didn't realize I wrote them a letter. I ended up drinking vodka and taking 9 opiates. And that's when they found me. I guess my kids found me first on the floor, and my ex-husband revived me. And I was angry. They don't know how long I was down. I don't know how long I was down. I just know that there was things that I did see that really put me like in a PTSD type form, where I was scared to go to sleep, because what I saw when I was down is something that I don't ever want to see again, which is the first time I've ever said that. So, and that's where I'm at today. I focus, and even though that was June 15th of 2019, September 23rd, I turned around and I still competed in a competition. So, because when I came back to the gym, everybody was like, are you going to, what are we gonna do? I was like, well, excuse my language, but shit, I didn't die, so we might as well just keep on going. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself, because life still goes on. Your life was going on. Even if I die today, life is still gonna go on. And it's gonna go on a little harder because I'm not in the world. That's how I feel. But I still had to compete. I still owed a fiduciary duty to my coach. So I still went out there and I competed. Did very well, I won. And and then just things, and then shortly after that, I lost my little sister. I want to say 8 weeks later, I lost my little sister. She went in the hospital. They gave her so many weeks to live, and she died. So it's one thing after another, after another, after another that keeps hitting me, and I'm like, why does this keep happening? And I'll go back to part of my depression is trusting somebody. I trusted a man. Went to his house. I was crying, and I don't know if I had told you this, but I ended up being raped. And so it's okay if we put this on camera. Nobody knows, but this is really the first time my story's getting out. I was raped after I found out that my husband was still cheating on me. And I remember it like I was drunk. And now, mind you, I figured out how to mask the pain was drinking and taking the pills. So if I would take one opium with some vodka, it would just take me out. Like I wasn't feeling anything. But I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I do believe in that. And this man, he took advantage of me. And I remember saying no. I kept telling him no. And I'm ashamed of it. But I still feel like maybe I should follow through with the, calling the police, but I didn't. I came home. And when I came home, I couldn't even look at my husband and tell him that I was just raped because all he was going to do was blame me anyways. And I felt at that point that, God, it was my fault. I should have never went over there. I should have never went to a man's house. I shouldn't have men friends. So now I understand. So everything that's happened to me from childhood, from the rape, from the divorce, through the depression, through the suicide, I keep meeting the same people as myself. Like I pass judgment on women like, you shouldn't have had yourself out there. And then now I'm like, oh my God, but this woman was raped and she, like, is she crying wolf or was she really raped? So now I'm in that same situation where I'm like, okay, I didn't have on anything inappropriate. But what I was drunk and had a pill. So there you have it. But with the depression, it's so real. I fight these thoughts every day. I don't know if I'm going to wake up. I really don't. I don't know. The only thing that I know is that my kids are always going to be there and my gym's always going to be there. But these thoughts, they come and go. It doesn't matter what type of medication I'm on. It doesn't matter if the doctor has me on antidepressant pills. It just masks it. That's it. It's nothing.
What triggers those thoughts? What really gets you to a point where you feel like, this is serious. This is what I'm gonna do. What are those triggers? Help us to understand what some of those triggers are, and if we can help somebody else with the same and with that understanding.
I feel that my triggers are when I see like husband and wives or boyfriends and girlfriends, and they're holding hands, and you can see the love. That's what triggers it, because it's almost like I've never experienced true love. So that triggers it.
This is something that you want for yourself, but you are loved. We love you.
That's different.
Yes, I know. But when I say love, we talk unconditional love, and I think that's the love that we all want. We want the unconditional love. We want the love that is not going to be, judged in any way.
Oh my God! And that's why I love my children so hard. That's why I love my friends. I love people. Because you never know what they're going through. You never know if somebody needs a hug. You don't know. Everybody is a ticking time bomb, and they just don't know it. So it's like, so those are the things that trigger. Those things trigger me. The love, and do I not feel love? Do I not feel this? Or it's just certain things do trigger it. And it has a lot to do when I see couples. But I love seeing people together. That's just the thing. I love love. And my love has went on to my children. My children have successful relationships, and they love. So I just love it.
Awesome. Okay, so some people say that you can't give what you don't have. And this may be a really tough one for you. But do you love yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, I take good care of myself.
Excellent.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when people always people hear, well, do you love yourself? Well, I get up every morning, I put my makeup on, I get to the gym, I still train, I still make sure that everything is taken care of, with myself. So, of course I love myself, very much in love with myself. That's why I like to go get my hair done. That's why I like to get my nails done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Looking wonderful. Awesome. Okay, so if you had to share with someone who's contemplating suicide today, what would you say to them, and what would you say to the families, in a sense of where maybe the symptoms that they can look at, and what would you share what would you say to some?
Some of the symptoms that you need to look at with some of the people is quiet. When a person gets really, really quiet. I don't know if you experienced this with Monique. We get very quiet. It's almost like, do you have bipolar? One day you could be just so happy and outgoing and doing everything, but then the next day it shuts down. And I like to go into my room and be quiet. So if you see your family member just shuts the door and sometimes shut down. Sometimes we get a little irate where we yell and we cuss and just leave me the F alone, or like you attack for no apparent reason. And the reason why I attack is because if I attack you, that means you're going to leave me alone. And then I get quiet time. Those are some of the signs. And if I met somebody today who said, I want to attempt suicide, or I'm thinking about it, there's really nothing you could say to somebody. You can't tell, like I said to you earlier, you cannot tell somebody, go pray harder, go to God. Don't do that. Don't do that to anybody. Don't tell somebody to go pray harder or tell them what they have so much to live for. Don't do that, because we don't see that. You just have to listen to them. Just shut up and listen.
That's part of the understanding of where we at. And we give that opportunity and we create that platform for you to just listen. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, people just need to be heard. Yeah. They want to be able to know that somebody hears me. Right. And the most important thing is, I know someone said that to me too, but we have to also listen with our eyes.
Right. And with me, you know what I like? I like to just, honestly, just sit here. We don't have to say anything. It's our energy will connect. If you're in tune with your chakra system, you're in tune, and that's what really helps me is by connecting with my chakra system is just be quiet. And honestly, that makes me feel so much better. There's nothing you could say to somebody who wants to commit suicide. The only thing you could do is just be there for them. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Just be there with them and talk with them, and honestly, a little flower or a card or a note. Those are the things that my kids do for me. They give me these notes. They give me these cards. They still go and steal flowers from neighbors' yards. Now they're 26, 24, 18.
That's love.
Yeah, I love when they do stuff like that. I'm like, did they see you do it? But those are the things that, you could do. But you really can't tell somebody, because if somebody is truthfully depressed and they are thinking about suicide, they're not going to tell you. You're never going to know. Like I told you, I go every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't contemplate it. What stops me, in the honest to God truth, is I don't have time to commit suicide right now. I have friends that are in need of me. This one, my friend Patricia, she needs me. My kids need me right now, We're trying to get them through college and their jobs.
And that's of importance.
Yeah.
And we need you at the Monique Woolley Foundation.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Definitely.
It's like, I don't know, when somebody's going to stop needing me. And that's what scares me. It's like, what happens if somebody stops needing me?
That will never happen.
Yeah.
That will never happen.
I hope not.
No. Well, I thank you so very much for sharing your story. We're looking forward to having you at the butterfly table, and that's basically just the various questions that's going to come through this various interview, along with the gala, the various questions, so that you can address them with your own thoughts and your feelings. And I really, really thank you for sharing your story. You have a great strength. Your aura is beautiful. And we love you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.